Welcome back to the Frisco RoughRiders pregame show. Joining us today is minor league field coordinator Jace Tingler. Jace is in his third year at the helm of the Rangers minor league field system, and we're delighted to have him on the pregame show. And Jace, you have a really enviable job, I would say, this year in particular, with the struggles up at the top of the big league club. You're the field coordinator for the winningest farm system in professional baseball. How's your summer been?
You know, it's been a freaky 2014 season. I think, anytime, working the minor leagues or whatever with the Texas Rangers, I think, everything starts up top. And, obviously they've had a ton of injuries and there's been some setbacks. As far as our young players here, in the minor league system, I think it's been good. I think it's been good from AAA all the way down to the Dominican Rookie League. We've got some young guys playing, performing. They're young for their levels. But they're certainly holding their own. The teams are playing winning baseball. I think the most important thing, the end of July right now, is as you go in club to club, town to town, you're seeing guys that want to be at the field. You're seeing an atmosphere it's promoting guys wanting to play, wanting to learn. You just see a lot of passion for the game, which is it's really good to see at the end of July. That's for sure.
Now, you were just north of the border recently. You were with the big league club serving as first base coach. What was that stint like with the big league team? What were some of the things that you did, and did you enjoy your time with the Rangers?
Oh, absolutely. Love the time. It was always good. You get to see players like Odor, Smolinski was up there at the time. A lot of guys that we've had in AAA that are up there. So it was outstanding to kind of see how those guys are doing, get to talk to them face to face instead of over text. Over the phone. I got to see Darvish Dickey on Friday night. Guys came out after the break. They had some pep in their step, and they were ready to play baseball. So overall, it was a really good experience. I probably valued, enjoyed getting to see some of the young guys the most of all.
You mentioned that movement always starts at the top, and in particular, there's been a lot of movement this year, I think in large part because of the injuries that the Rangers have sustained. With the RoughRiders, there were 107 roster moves all of last year, and here we are in the last week of July, and there have already been 108 roster moves, including 4 today. How has that impacted your job and maybe made this year stand out in comparison to your other 2 as field coordinator?
Well, there's definitely been more movement. It's directly a reflection up top with all the injuries. We have had some movement with some of the players on promotions, and we hope to maybe do that one more time throughout the year as these guys continue to develop. And I think each year has its own challenges, has its own struggles. I can just say this year as we've had a group of guys together for a couple years and they're starting to mature, they're starting to gain more experience. It seems like they're getting closer and closer, to taking their next step, and that's what's kind of exciting. As a group, we got some young players that are coming up, and they're playing pretty good baseball right now.
We're with minor league field coordinator Jace Tingler on the RoughRiders pregame show. Jace, you handle on-field instruction for position players. How does your role change as the season wears on?
Well, I think early in the year, it's a lot of, as we send guys out, it's kind of checking, making sure we're getting off to good starts. As kind of that first month gets by, it's kind of checking in and making sure we're following through with their player plans. It's a ton of communication with the managers, the coaches, the scouts, the other rovers that go in. It's trying to take all that information and trying to get these guys over the hump to whatever their next step is. Some guys it's with the stick, some guys it's defensively, some guys it's adding strength, speed to their game. So it's kind of putting all that information together and developing a plan, making sure the player's on board, getting a lot of information, a lot of feedback from the player individually, and kind of going from there. Now we hit this time of the year, we're getting ready to come up on August, and we'll see if we have any moves. Obviously the trade deadline up top is going on. But then, we've got 4 teams, I believe, right now in the playoffs, and Round Rock's knocking on the door, Hickory's knocking on the door. So we're going to battle, try to get in and start getting ready for August and then the playoffs.
Along those lines, then, when it comes to your relationship with the players specifically, what changes about your message to the guys in July versus in April?
I think the message right now is, and this is historically for me, I think you speak to a lot of coaches or people that have been through it. The end of July is, you always hear the dog days, and it truly is. At least for me as a position player, it's always the roughest, hardest stretch. It obviously heats up. You're a little bit fatigued, and then So whatever the reason is, you hit August, you see the light at the end of the tunnel, you see that you got one more month left, usually catch your second wind. So I think like our message like right now is be finishers, from people coming in to evaluating you. A lot of people remember like your last month. That's going to be like the month of August. And it's a true like self-evaluation from where you were to the start of the year to where you are, come August. That's check and progression. So I think like the message is like be finishers in what we do and finish this year strong.
Field coordinator Jace Tingler joining us on the RoughRiders pregame show. Jace, when you look at the RoughRiders specifically, this is not your first go-around with the team this season. We mentioned the roster changes. Does anything seem different to you about the makeup of this team on or off the field now versus when you were in town earlier this season?
Well, I think, the big movement is you've seen Talise, you've seen Rua, you've seen Smolinski, make their jumps, whether it's to AAA or to the big league. So now new guys are coming in, and that's Gallo and some other players. You see Odubel step in. He's been here a while now, but, the first 2 months he was in Myrtle. And so you start to see, like, their progression. These guys starting to adjust to the league a little bit. And, I think, like, Frisco, for me right now, and the thing that's so special, like the atmosphere, the environment, everything's like the same from AAA, like I said, all the way down to the Dominican Summer League. I've been out to Arizona, seen the rookie ball guys, and Frisco's no different than Spokane right now in the fact that, guys are upbeat, ready to play baseball. And that's a true, like, compliment to, like, the staff, to Woody, to Jeff Andrews, and to Jason Hart, the environment that these guys are creating, keeping it upbeat and keeping it fun, yet these guys are working their butts off and continuing to improve.
In your analysis, what is the strongest aspect of this team?
I think it's a well-balanced team. I think, you've got some starting pitchers, really excited after the trade, but you've got, guys like Chi-Chi, Eichhoff, Asher, that are going to give you good starts for the most part. You got some power arms in the back end. Obviously, seeing Keela 2 nights ago, Will Lamb last night. You got some power arms in the back. And then you got some table setters and guys like Odubel Herrera. G-Rod's been around. Hopefully, Hanser Alberto gets on track. And then you've got some power guys, with Gallo, and a couple of guys are able to hit the ball out of the ballpark. So I think overall, our guys throw the ball over the plate. For the most part, we defend fairly well. And it's just a matter of us getting barrel the ball and competing night in, night out.
Jace, on a previous visit, you were actually filling in as field manager for Jason Wood when Woody was on vacation. And I happened to actually see a note that you left for Woody on his desk after you were heading out of town. And you praised at that time how hard this team had worked, how hard they competed, and how much fun you had coaching this team. That was back in May, I believe. Why did you feel that way specifically, and has your opinion changed?
No, my opinion definitely hadn't changed. No, it's just a blast. Doing this job and managing in the past, I guess like the one thing like you truly miss is kind of that day-to-day grind, that interaction with the player that you see on a daily basis. So getting to fill in for Woody and getting to spend 5-6 days with the club, taking a bus ride, being around the guys, spending some time, those are the things you miss, now as you step into the field coordinating role, and, you've got probably more of a bigger picture things to focus on. But it was really, what I loved about managing, and that this team has creative. It's, you've got good people, you've got good character players, and guys that want to get better. And at the end of the day, as a coach, manager, field coordinator, rover, whatever, like that's really all you can ask to work with.
Another aspect of your position as field coordinator, Jace, is organizing spring training. That seems like it's a lot of responsibility. What does that all entail?
Spring training as a player and when I was a manager, it used to be my favorite time of the year, and now it's it's probably turned into like the most stressful for myself. It's definitely like the challenges. You're trying to organize 180 players. You got 6-7 fields to work with. And coordinating that with the pitching coordinator, Danny Clark, making sure the pitchers are getting their time, the bullpen, making sure that we're getting our infield, outfield catching work, same time getting our offensive work. And then, probably most importantly, towards the end of spring training, making sure these guys are ready for opening night. It's like I said, it's turned into one of my favorite times being a player where it's loose and you're getting ready for the season to, it can be stressful, but at the end of the day, I've got such like good people around me. I've got guys that really help out and really help carry the load in certain departments that, it's been an easier transition doing it from year 1, 2, and now year 3.
Last question, Jace, as we wrap up. You, of course, were with the club yesterday, and it was a special day at the ballpark because it was Mike Coolbaugh Day. You were in the Texas League as a player yourself for a time. Just wondering what your impressions were of last night.
I think, like, first of all, it was some type of, like, emotional. You see the video and you see the family, and obviously, Scott Coolbaugh is very, very close to us, being the hitting coordinator and developing relationships there. So, the first thing that stands out is emotional. And then you get to see Scott's son, Tyler, who was representing him last night. And I think, like, the most important thing, like, that I pulled out of it, was probably, like, just to maintain the balance in your life. We get so caught up in baseball and performance and stuff like that, and it's a truly, like, reflection of what is important, and that's family, that's friends, that's loved ones, and I thought it was just an outstanding ceremony yesterday.
Well, Jace, thank you so much for taking some time out of your pregame ritual to join us on the RoughRiders pregame show. Looking forward to the stretch run here with this team. They've been a lot of fun to watch in spite of all the turnover. There's been a remarkable sense of consistency about this team, and we're looking forward to a good, strong end to the season across the Rangers farm system. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me. Enjoyed it.
Minor League Field Coordinator Jace Tingler with us on the Riders pregame show. Back after a word on the RoughRiders Baseball Network.